Well, and we're live. Sound Crew 1 is ready.
All right, let's get started. Welcome everybody to Power Nutrition for Optimal Function with myself. I got a really fun question for you guys. Let's say I'm on a road trip and I want to behave myself and I need a snack. And these are the four options I have. Which one do I choose?
Beef jerky.
Beef jerky? What do you think? Beef jerky?
Sure.
Debbie, beef jerky?
Sugar. You know.
Potato chips.
Potato chips?
I would say that.
Okay. So you guys said the beef jerky because there's less sugar? Okay. So why'd you say the potato chips?
I don't remember seeing sugar in potato chips. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, so Becky, you are right. I would pick the potato chips because of these things, the rest of them are loaded with additional added processed sugar. Believe it or not, Jack Link's has a tremendous amount of added sugar in it, which is crazy because why on earth would you want meat to be sweet? But I guess that's like the thing. Ultimately, for a better explanation on this whole sugar thing, catch my other spinal workshop called The Blank That's in Your Food. We bleeped out the word sugar because we're clever. I'll get to your question in a minute, Matt. Now, Cliff Bars loaded with sugar. Obviously, the Snicker bar loaded with sugar, right? But Lay's classic potato chips do not have sugar in them. Do not have any added sugar. There's like 3 ingredients: potatoes, salt, and some sort of oil that they cook it in. And in my world, I will avoid added processed sugar at almost all costs. And so ultimately, I feel better if I eat the potato chips like physiologically than all of the other 3 things. My skin is healthier, my energy levels are better, I just do better. Now, that's not to say that all potato chips are good, right? If you get the baked Lays, the healthy ones, right? There's actually added sugar in the baked Lays to give them like mouthfeel and flavor that you're missing out with the friedness. And there's lots of other potato chip flavors that have a lot of sugar, like the barbecue ones have sugar. There's a lot of ones that do. But when I'm choosing foods, I'm avoiding sugar at all costs. So eating right is very simple. It really is. And most of us have a decent idea of how to eat right. But what the heck are all these diets? There's keto diet, paleo diet, Atkins diet, Beachbody diet, South Beach, vegan, Whole30, GAPS, all these different diets. And these are just the ones I could think of while I was typing this presentation up. There's a gajillion more named diets. Well, these all exist because even though eating right is very simple, it is not easy. It is not easy at all. It's like a little Renaissance baby, but it looks like an old man. It's so creepy. Eating right is not easy. So what I want to do for you guys today is in the next probably 5 to 7 minutes, I want to outline for you some principles that I utilize to eat. I am not on a diet. I have been on a diet before. I've tried the Atkins diet for a while. I tried the GAPS diet for a little bit. I've tried a lot of different diets, but ultimately, what really is going to set you up for success is not being on a diet, but is going to be to restructure your life and to have a lifestyle of eating better. And that's just who you are, right? So these are my 7 steps to diet nirvana. And you can spend and should spend the rest of your life trying to perfect what you put in your mouth. Let me say that again. You should spend the rest of your life trying to perfect what you put in your mouth. Whether it's solid foods or what you're drinking, you should perfect what you're putting in your mouth. Because what you eat, those molecules are broken down and literally become you. Let me say that one more time. What you eat, the foods you eat, and the liquids you ingest, those literally become your body. So that's really important. Because if you want to feel great and you want to look great, and you want to perform great. You can't put shit in your body because then you will look like shit, feel like shit, and perform like shit. It's as simple as that. So, step number 1, drink water. Anything else is a recreational treat. What that means is that if you're drinking something, it is to hydrate. And the best thing to hydrate you is water. And understand that I do drink other things that are not water. I love coffee in the morning. In the afternoons, I really enjoy chocolate. And it's literally just cocoa powder that I mix with hot water. It's awesome. It's like a black coffee, but it's chocolate instead. Less diuretic effect. There's more calories in there, a lot of really good fats and antioxidants. So I really enjoy that. And I do have my recreational treats. But Gatorade does not hydrate you. Gatorade is a sugar drink. Coffee does not hydrate you, and there's great research supporting the fact that a cup of coffee in the morning is good, but anything beyond that, there's no research to support that that's good for you. So anything else except for water is a treat. And we can't survive on treats. Number 2, structure your meals. The food pyramid that we grew up learning that was like the way to eat is a doctored, big ag propaganda piece. All right? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Okay. So, on the bottom of your pyramid, you need to have mostly vegetables. Humans should be eating mostly vegetables, and the majority of your diet should be vegetables. Next thing up should be protein. Now, good research indicates that we can really only digest and really absorb about 50 grams of protein in a meal or a sitting, and that's a lot less than you think. So I'll eat the largest steak in the world. It will shock you. However, just realize I know that I'm not going to be absorbing all of that, and a lot of that's just going to go out, the opposite way that it came in. So just keep that in mind too. We need a lot less protein per serving than we think. The next most important thing is your good fats. So olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, grass-fed animal fats are really important. I'm not going to go too far into that. But it's a huge difference to have butter that comes from a grass-fed cow or the grizzly part of the steak, which I freaking love, from a grass-fed cow, versus one that's fed on grains like corn and other things like soy. They're just very, very different. And they're different in terms of being good for you. The next thing you should have is carbohydrates. Now, there's no accident that a lot of cultures are based around carbohydrates. And they're not bad for you per se. I mean, the entire Orient is like built on rice as a foundation. Sicily was the breadbasket of the Roman Empire. So they're not necessarily bad for you. You just shouldn't have them the majority of the time. And then after that, recreational treats. So when I say recreational treats, I'm talking about things like caffeine, nicotine, sugar, alcohol, things that I treat like drugs almost, that I'm going to have them. I know that they're going to have a negative effect long term, but in the short term, I'm going to enjoy them for a purpose. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. The next thing you got to do is you got to eat according to your activity level. All right, this person has dietary requirements very different than this person. If this is what this guy is doing all day, if he eats like this guy, he's not going to look like that guy. He's going to look like Homer Simpson. So you got to make sure you're eating calories, but you can't be overeating. And it's not but really easy litmus test to find out if you're overeating is look in the mirror. And if you have active body fat that you don't want, you're overeating. You're eating too many calories for your lifestyle, period. There's no way to doctor this or science this or eat more to burn more calories. Like that, it doesn't ever work that way. So make sure you're eating according to your activity level. Number 4, constantly upgrade your ingredients. This is a big deal. So I had this really funny idea for like a local reality TV show where I go through somebody's house with a big garbage bag and I just throw everything out that's crap. And they would have, it has been done, but like on national TV, but it'd be cool to do it like here for like people we actually know. So I had this really funny idea. Nobody would have anything left in their house. So then if you start with a 0, you know, in your house and you're thinking like, oh my God, I got to restock everything all at once, it's just too much. There's really good reasons to eat organic. There's really good reasons to get rid of all processed sugar. There's really good reasons to do a lot of things. But ultimately, if you try and tackle everything all at once, it's just too much. You're going to get overwhelmed in terms of your brain. You're going to get overwhelmed in terms of your desire. You're going to get overwhelmed in terms of your wallet half the time, because something that's organic costs 2 to 4 times more than something that's not. It's super expensive. Super expensive. So my solution is you got to take this thing one step at a time and take one thing in your house and upgrade that one thing. And then maybe next week or 2 weeks after that, you upgrade another thing. One small example is, rather than regular iodized table salt that ultimately works really well to help you retain water and sap the nutrients from your body, replacing that with Himalayan pink salt, which is more isotonic, means it doesn't sap as much water from your body, and it has minerals that you actually need. That's a better ingredient. So in my house, you don't find this unless we're putting it in like the pool or something. Like it's literally in a 5-gallon bucket outside my garage. I don't know what Courtney's going to do with it, but there it is. So, but you will find that in the kitchen. So keep constantly upgrading your ingredients. One of the last frontiers that Courtney and I jumped into the organic thing was the meat, because it was just so much more expensive. But now at this point, we really don't have anything that's not organic in my house. And I'm not trying to wear that as like a badge of honor or whatever. I'm just trying to explain to you that this is a process that's like 5-6 years in the making for her and I. And it did not happen overnight. I will vividly remember, we're sitting here and I'm trying to feed our family of 2 at the time with $75 a week, and that included all of our household goods. So all of our toiletries, you know, detergents, soaps, you name it. So I was getting skinny. And if you know me, that's like calling me ugly or stupid or something like that. It's not cool. So if I'm telling you I'm feeling skinny, just give me some space. I'm having a bad day. And my mom noticed. She's like, Marco, you're getting skinny. And I was like, Mom, I thought you were on my team. So we're walking this grocery cart down the aisle at Harris Teeter. And here I am, like, physically just starving. You never go grocery shopping when you're hungry, right? You make stupid food decisions when you're hungry. So here I am, and I'm sitting here with this little packet of like 4 little baby chicken thighs. They look like they came from quail or something like that, which is a bird that's about this big. And it was the exact same money as the other massive piece of like the store brand chicken thigh, or massive package of the store brand chicken thighs, and they were like twice as big, and there was like 4 times as many of them. And I'm like, I threw the organic one down, and I'm like, Courtney, I'm starving. And I threw it in the cart, and she was just like, okay. You eat those chicken thighs. And I did. They were great. So that's my story about sometimes you just can't do it all at once. And you got to take things one step at a time. Number 5, you got to supplement with quality products. Now, there's a lot of argument for not supplementing at all. And I'm not going to be the guy that's going to sit here and say you got to have supplements. You don't. Do realize, however, if you are going to supplement, you got to supplement from something that comes from the ground, that is a quality product. Otherwise, you are ingesting your money and you are pooping it out and then flushing it down the toilet. Because your body will not absorb synthetic chemicals. Your body will only absorb food. So make sure you're getting your supplements from a quality source where they're independently tested so that you know that what you're buying your body's actually using. Now, my argument for supplementing is twofold. One, we know that the practices agriculturally in this country are not designed for quality. They are designed for quantity, because farmers get paid more if they have more yield coming across the scales, right? Our soil is depleted. Our soil lacks essential nutrients and minerals that we need to ingest. So I would say that that's a really good argument to have a really quality multivitamin. The other thing is that we are not in the sun as much as we should be. especially if you've got a darker complexion. You need way more sunlight than somebody that has a much more fair complexion. We're just not getting enough vitamin D3, and all of our immune systems are compromised because of it. So I think supplementing with vitamin D3 is an amazing idea, especially when it becomes like fall through spring. D3 is awesome for you. Your body needs it, your cells need it, and you're not making it, period. Now, the second argument that I would say is that recently I've started upping my supplement game. So currently what I'm taking is a really good multivitamin, and I am taking an adrenal support, and I am taking a liver support. And lately, I've been feeling really good, very energetic. I think a lot of that has to do with the adrenal support, but there's just reason number two is that my personal testimony, I think it's making a difference, and I don't foresee myself going without supplements in the future, just because I feel so much better, period. But if you are going to supplement, make sure you're getting the right stuff. All right. Number 6, processed packaged foods are for the zombie apocalypse, and that's it. Period. You cannot survive very well like this. All right. Those processed foods are even more depleted. They've got a shelf life of like a gajillion years. Trust me, I've eaten my fair share of MREs, and I survived, but I just wouldn't choose to eat that all the time. You got to eat things that are fresh and prepared. And they exist, and I know that we're all super busy, right? And there's ways to get really good meals that you don't have to sit there and have a whole Sunday worth of prep time. But if that's your gig, that's even better. Awesome. You just got to make sure that you understand prepackaged, prepared foods are for the zombie apocalypse only. And that's it. And I'm not worried. We're going to have more than enough of it because our country throws out enough food to probably feed the rest of the world, just as a guess. I mean, anybody work in a restaurant? How disgusting is that? The amounts of food that go into the garbage. Shameful. But, so I'm not worried about there not being enough food. All right, number 7, treat sugar like a recreational drug. I chose this image very specifically. Sugar is more addictive than cocaine. Rats that are addicted to both, given the option, will go to the sugar every time. And there's a part of our brain that's not that much more evolved than a rat's brain. And it's the part that most of us use to choose our food on a daily basis. So think about that. Sugar is extremely addictive, it is extremely inflammatory, and it is horrible for you. Let me just give you an example. If you ingest too much sugar on a daily basis for enough years, your body will eventually not have the ability to even process it anymore. It's so damaged. It's called insulin-resistant diabetes. Your body just won't even try to absorb it anymore. And so then what happens? It sits in your interstitial fluid. That's the fluid that's not your blood. Or it also sits in your blood. And where does it all go? It goes right down to your feet. Why? Because gravity. And if it chills in your feet for long enough, what happens? Well, step number 1, you start getting swelling and inflammation, because we know that sugar is extremely inflammatory because it's damaging your tissues. You will then get paresthesias, neurological sensations, numbness, tingling. Diabetic paresthesia is a diagnosis. It's a thing. Because the sugar is so bad for you, it's literally damaging your nervous system. Now that's at the extreme of having it there for a long time, but it's happening on a smaller scale whenever you decide to ingest sugar. And the problem is that it's not just the sugar you're choosing, it's the sugar that you are not choosing. So please, watch the spinal workshop on the crap that's in your food, the bleep that's in your food. It will open your eyes. At least my hope is that it will. And then if you let that situation with the neurological problems go on for long enough, you will then get infection after infection until you literally have to lose parts of your body because sugar is so bad for you. That's on the extreme, but it's happening at a smaller level with every piece of sugar you consume. And it's in everything. It's in everything because the food industry knows that we are addicted to it. I used to be of the mindset when I was younger, because when you're younger, you don't really know a lot, you just know what you're told. Like, my children don't really question me that much. I mean, they do, but whatever answers I finally give them are like susceptible, or acceptable at some point. We don't question stuff. So in my perception back when I was a lot younger. I'm talking like all the way up until like through college, like undergrad. The reason why we didn't eat sugar, we didn't eat the crappy foods is because we didn't want to be fat. That was why we did it. So in my world, if I wasn't fat, I didn't have to eat, right? Or I could eat whatever I wanted because I wasn't fat. And that was clearly the only thing that was wrong with eating bad. But it's not about that. It's really not. And you can carry around excess calories and be really healthy if you're doing it the right way. You can. But the horrible thing about eating like crap is that it affects your entire body. It affects every single joint in your body. It affects your digestive system. It affects your brain. It affects your nervous system. There's a million reasons to eat right. And the reasons to eat wrong, in my opinion, they're just not very good reasons. There is no food that tastes as good as fit feels. And you all know that. So, let's talk about intermittent fasting because we've got another 10 minutes for this class and I just want to share my experience with you. So, I would never call myself somebody that has ever been overweight in my life. And I didn't really even consider myself like unhealthy, and I never had like a body that like I didn't want to have, I guess that's to say. So like I never had a problem with like excess fat. So don't take this like from in the wrong context. Okay? But this goes into the conversation of this person can't be eating like this person. This person doesn't need to eat as many times a day as this person probably does. Intermittent fasting is great. So whether you want to call it by design or by evolution, I don't really care. But ultimately, you got to understand that we didn't always live in an industrialized society where we drove ourselves around everywhere we needed to go, and we had at least 3 meals a day if we wanted to, or maybe even more. And nobody in this country really goes hungry. That is evidenced by the fact that the homeless people panhandling on the corner are overweight. In other countries, the homeless people are not overweight. They are starving to death. Like that's the situation in our country. So we all have more than enough food. But back in the day, when people had to live or die by the ability for them to grow food and to hunt food, it was a little bit of a different story. Food wasn't guaranteed. So we need to understand that our physiological tendency was formed in a period of time where food was not guaranteed. And we have to apply that understanding to a time when food is guaranteed. So back when food was not guaranteed, you ate as often as you could, as much as you could. And whatever you didn't need in that moment in time, your body would save for later. That's really smart. Because when it comes time for the food is not available anymore, you need to tap into those stores so that you don't die, right? Makes a ton of sense. Now, we also lived in a time where our meals were not scheduled and our meals were not frequent, so to speak. So at some point in the history of the human species, we were not eating 3 square meals a day. We'd like catch something and some things were gathered and we would eat whatever we could at that point in time, and then we might go for days without eating again. That's kind of how we were programmed. And so when we go into that fasting state, your body switches kind of rhythms. And it teaches your body how to regulate your blood sugar. A lot of people tell me that they need that like candy bar or they need that like pocket full of sweets to like help them regulate their blood sugar because they have low blood sugar. It's not the case for most people. And in fact, I don't think I've ever met somebody that literally did have low blood sugar that needed to supplement with sugar. It's just not a thing. What's happening is that you're riding the sugar dragon, you just don't even know it. The sugar dragon is a wild ride. And ultimately, it goes like this. You wake up, and because you either A, didn't get enough sleep, or B, you're just not living a lifestyle that's optimally healthy, you struggle to get out of bed. And then, because you struggled to get out of bed, you didn't set yourself up for success. by getting up early enough to have a really good breakfast in the morning or feed yourself. So you get something quick, which is usually not the healthiest thing. So one of the best case scenarios, you maybe grab something in the house really quick or like a shake, cool. Less than good scenario, you're in the drive-through line at McDonald's. McDonald's is full of sugar, and the protein bar you probably got is full of sugar too. So you ingest that, and then for the few moments when that sugar hits your bloodstream and you get the first trickle effect, you're feeling pretty good because sugar is a stimulant, just like cocaine. Makes you feel really good. And then what happens? Well, you started off here feeling like crap. You had the sugar and you feel a little bit better, and then where does that leave you when the sugar crash hits? Where you worse off than where you were before, right? Well, then what do? Well, you take more sugar, whether it's lunchtime and your lunch is full of sugar, you've got that little Snickers bar in your drawer next to your office, and so then here's our new baseline. Well, now we feel a little bit better. And then after that, when that crashes again, you feel a little bit worse. The sugar dragon provides you with temporary highs that leave you lower than you started. Does that make sense? And when you stop eating, you stop that cycle and you stop that ride, and your body is forced to regulate your blood sugar. So intermittent fasting helps you regulate your blood sugar such that you have more even energy throughout the day. It's awesome. Beyond that, it puts you in an anti-inflammatory state. A lot of us here, and I'm one of those, experience some joint pain here and there. We've experienced headaches here and there, or some muscle pain here and there. All of those issues are inflammation driven. The symptoms you feel are from the inflammation. The inflammation isn't the cause. The damage that is going on in your tissues is the cause, but you don't need to pour gasoline on the fire by ingesting sugar. When you're fasting, your body goes into an anti-inflammatory healing state. It helps you get into that rest and digest. And it also allows you to start tapping into your calorie reserves. Another name for calorie reserves is fat stores. Does that make sense? There's a million reasons to do it, and it works awesome. And how many times have I heard the excuse, well, I can't eat right because I don't have the time. Okay, well, if time is your issue, not eating is a great way to save time because you don't have to think about it. When I first heard that I could intermittently fast and still be healthy, because I was worried, like, I can't fast. I go to the gym. I work out. I adjust people today. I can't fast. I'll die. And the doctor looked at me and he goes, you can exercise in a fasting state. And I ultimately had been exercising all that time in a fasting state because my gym time had been at 5 a.m. I'm not eating before I go. I would eat afterward. And he said, you'll be fine. And I was. So it's an amazing way to save time. So the best way to do this thing, and there's a million different windows you can choose. You can fast for a whole day. You can fast for 2 whole days. You can fast for 3 whole days. And if you've got a lot of calorie reserves, you can fast for longer. And you feel good doing it too. It's not an accident that monks of every single religious discipline go through periods of fasting. And I experienced this when I was wrestling. The longest fast I ever did was a 3-day water fast. And on day number 3, I will tell you that I experienced a different level of consciousness than on day 1 and 2. It was just different. And I've done that a few times since then, just for the mental benefits of having fasted for that long. But you get some clarity, and that is real. Absolutely. So if you don't want to fast for whole days, you don't have to. You can fast for some hours. And there's lots of different ways to structure it. You can do a 12 and 12. That means you eat for 12 and you fast for 12. You can do an 8 and 16. The 8 and 16 is the more traditional one, and that one works really, really well. And you basically pick a meal that you want to skip, either dinner or breakfast. I'm really just going to simplify this thing for you guys. For me, the easy one to skip was breakfast because that was the one that was the most pain in the butt for me to make anyway. Because I'm like, oh my God, I got to wake up and I got to make these eggs. And like, I love breakfast, but like, if I don't have to, that's just more me time, which is sweet. And in the evening, I'm not going to skip my wife's dinner. That is absolutely not going to happen because she is a phenomenal cook, and the kids are waiting for me a lot of the times too, so that's just family time. So for me, it made sense to skip dinner. And what that meant was that I would break my fast at noon, and I would have breakfast at noon. I would still eat the same amount of calories in an 8-hour window of eating, and then at 8 o'clock, the door is shut to eating. And I fast for 16 hours. So I wish I had more time to prepare this, but this kind of took me off guard. I would have loved to have taken and showed you guys 2 pictures. Picture number 1 would have been me at Kilo Crush Fest 2 years ago. Nobody would look at me at Kilo Crush Fest and say, this guy has a weight problem at all. Not at all. You can see all the muscles. It's fine. I'm happy with it. But then I started intermittent fasting. And there are some pictures of me doing the open later that season, and it was like crazy. The muscles had muscles. So whatever I had to go had just shredded away and it was gone. And it's to the point where, like, at this point in my life, I can actually tune like how much body fat I want to carry depending on the season. So now we're coming into wintertime. I like to have a little bit of an extra layer so that it's a little bit warmer, and I don't need to be totally shredded and shivering everywhere I go. So lately I've not been intermittently fasting as often, but I can still do it for convenience sake. I just know I gotta have enough calories later on in that day. Does that make sense? So even if you're doing awesome, you can definitely do better. And in learning your body, you can start to tune your own metabolism and kind of tweak your body's ability to use fat for reserves or just use the calories you're ingesting. It's super simple. It's really easy. And like anything else, it just takes some willpower. So let's go back to this last slide, because this is important. Oh no. Guys, I messed up. Can we go to the last slide, please? And then open it up full screen. Okay, second to last slide. Okay. This is good. So everything that I have proposed to you guys tonight is very simple. I gave you 7 rules to eat by, and we talked about intermittent fasting, right? Super easy. But just like chess, the rules are very simple, but mastery of the game is not. It's a lifelong pursuit. We got to understand that that's real too. Okay, and we all need help. So number 1, you got to invest your time, your energy, and your money in being healthy.
I have a question from Taylor. He said if you fall off of intermittent fasting for a day or 2, do you have to go through a transition period?
No. And the nice thing about intermittent fasting, Taylor, great question, is you don't have to do it all the time. If you want to do intermittent fasting 3 days a week, cool. If they're not always the same 3 days, that's cool too. So you use it when you want to. And if there's a day that you wake up and you're just like, I cannot not have breakfast today, then you eat breakfast that day, and it's fine. Super easy. So, great question. So number 1, invest your time, your energy, and your money in being healthy. These are our resources, right, guys? We all have time, we all have energy, we all have money. You got to invest that in being healthy, because if you don't invest it in being healthy, you'll be forced to spend it later on being sick. And I see that every day. And an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That quote's been around since Ben Franklin, or possibly sooner. And it's so true. And I understand that it costs me more to feed my family the way that we do, but I know beyond the shadow of doubt that that's an investment that's going to pay dividends later when we're not in the hospital 24/7. I know that. Seek counsel from the right people. You don't go to the gym and find the scrawniest, weakest bean pole and say, hey man, how do I do bench press? I really want to add like 5 pounds to my PR. You just don't do that. Why? Because that guy clearly does not have it together.
Skinny.
So, exactly, he's skinny. Yes. So seek counsel from the right people. Please, for the love of whoever you love, do not Do not seek counsel on nutritional stuff from people who do not look the way that you want to look, or feel the way that you want to feel, or perform the way that you want to perform. It's that simple. They don't know how to get you where you got to be because they themselves have not gone there. Does that make sense? None of this is a do as I say, not as I do kind of a thing. You got to seek counsel from the people that are walking the walk. Because if they're not doing it, they don't know how to teach you how to do it. That's important. Number 3, you got to plan ahead. If you leave the house starving and all you've got is a credit card, you're going to use that thing for bad reasons. All right? So just like you should plan your budget ahead of time, you should plan your meals. And if you set yourself up for success, you will be successful. But you got to know yourself and set yourself up for success. I think half the reason why I started feeling like crap over the past probably 2 and 3 months ago is because I wasn't setting myself up for success for what I was going to be eating here during the day. I wasn't bringing my lunch because I have an inability to have leftovers at this point because I eat too much at the end of the day. And Courtney's like, well, I can make you enough for leftovers, but we need to either do one of 2 things. Either number one, we need to do 2 things. I need to get bigger pots and pans because I have filled everything. And number 2, we need to up the groceries and home goods budget because there's not enough. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll change some things. So I started getting lifestyle meals delivered on Sundays. They are awesome. And if you don't know Colin, he's a guy that's walking the walk. Okay? And they're great. They're great. It's great food. And at this point, I've got the ability and the luxury to have food pre-made for me. So it's awesome. But I've set myself up for success so that I'm not here starving and going to get something that's crappy. 4, sterilize your environment. What does that mean? Well, I can't get a wild hair up my butt and go have cake in the middle of the night because there's no cake in my house. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So sterilize your environment. It goes on to planning ahead. Don't leave it right there to be like tempted all the time. That's just torture. Just get it out of your environment. And if it's not around, you're not going to go get it. I mean, Casey will tell you that. She just doesn't keep it in her house, and that way she's got to either convince herself that she really wants the Twinkie bad enough to get in the car and drive 20 minutes because she lives in Moyac. There's nothing close by. Or she just doesn't go get it. So sterilize your environment. Currituck, not Moyac. Sorry, Casey. So
Don't buy the sweets.
don't buy the sweets. Exactly right. Number 5, be accountable. If you keep your health journey a secret because you don't want anybody to know that you'd like to be healthier just in case you might fail and then they'll look at you like you suck, you are setting yourself up for failure. And I can't tell you how many times I've done this in my own life. Like, I'm going to try to do this thing, and I'm not going to tell anybody about it. That way, if I fail, then nobody will know. And I'm still awesome. That is a surefire way to fail. If you want something, and it matters, you got to start telling people. You got to start telling people for a million different reasons. Number 1, as Rachel reminded me of today, the universe always says yes. Regardless of what you ask for. The universe always says yes to whatever you ask for. Period. And number 2, when the people that care about you know your goals and your intentions, they will help you. And if they're not helping you, they probably shouldn't be in your inner circle. So if I'm telling some people, hey, I really want to make this happen, it would make my career so much better, it would make me feel so much healthier, and they're just chopping me down left and right, they want me to be miserable. Because they're miserable, and they don't need to be in my life. But when I tell the right people what I want to do, like when I tell the team, like, guys, I've been feeling like crap, I've been super grumpy, I've got 0 energy, that's it, I'm done, I'm back off the sugar, no more gluten, and I'm going to be healthy, they know that that's my expectation. And when they see me not doing it, I have 2 choices. I can either lash out at them because they're trying to hold me accountable to the changes that I want to make, or I can eat my humble pie and say thank you. I want to be somebody that exercises good cell phone posture. So if any of you guys see me doing one of these things over here, because this is like a very common occurrence if I'm going to check an email because it's super important, and you call me out, I'm not going to get butthurt. I'm going to say thank you. Because I want to be a man that lifts my darn phone up so that I can protect my neck. And I want to be a man that eats the right things so that I can feel the way I want to feel and be the way I want to be. So we're going to close this out in a little bit of a different way, and I'm so sorry we went over, but I feel like we were on a roll. I want everybody, we're going to do this together. You're going to close your eyes. And this is a little out there, but just go there with me. And I want you to picture yourself. I want you to picture yourself at some point in the future. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. It doesn't have to be 5 years from now. Let's not put a date on this thing, but this is you picturing yourself in the future. And I want you to think about, with a lot of specificity and detail, how you want to feel. Do you want to feel vital, full of energy, capable, intelligent? You want to feel accomplished. You want to feel loved. Think about how you want to perform. What are the types of things you want to be able to do? Do you want to crush it in the gym? Do you want to be crushing it at work? Do you want to be the leader of your peers? Do you want to be an awesome mom, grandmother, father? What is that you want to do? Do you want to climb mountains? I don't care what it is. Just think about what you want to do. Think about how you want to look. I know that we're like, trying not to be superficial these days, but ultimately we all want to look a certain way. If we didn't, we'd all be wearing, ponchos. But think about how you want to look. How is that going to make you feel to look that way? Think about how you want to be. When you've got that image in your head, go ahead and open your eyes. You got that image in your head. That person had to have done things to get that way. You can't just want that stuff, because the people that have achieved it have worked really freaking hard, and they've made very specific choices to get there. So once you've got that picture in your head of who you want to be and who you are, you got to just start doing those things to get there. Because that person is waiting for you. That person is ready. And the universe always says yes, regardless of what you ask for. Just got to ask for the right things and know you deserve it. And there's no better way to know that you deserve things than by earning it. There is no better way to know that you deserve things than by earning it. So, next week we've got a ton of fun stuff planned. We've got Spirit Week, and starting on Monday we've got Mix and Match, which is like wearing all sorts of mixed up outfits. I've got a very special one planned for you guys. It's gonna be a little throwback to undergrad and a really fun theme that we always used to do. Tuesday, Tacky Tourist. You can join us, the team. We're gonna be supporting our Virginia Beach Pride with all of the tackiest I Love Virginia Beach stuff we can possibly find on clearance at the oceanfront. Fanny packs. Wednesday, Wacky Hat Day. So wear a wacky hat. And then Thursday, wear your Halloween costumes. We're dressing, as I can't tell you because it's a surprise, but you'll have to come and find out and have fun with us. And on Thursday, we are partying down, guys. So even if you do not have an appointment, come join us. I promise everything we have to eat here is going to be very healthy. I will have some recreational treats available too for you guys that are coming down off of that and need a fix. We're going to have a ton of fun. So Matt.
What time is the thing?
All day. So from 8 to 6, anytime that we'll regularly see appointments for adjustments, come on guys, just party with us, have fun, let us love on you a little bit, get goofy a little bit, and invite your friends, because everything is better shared. Okay. All right, gang, have an awesome night.